The items that vanish first when supply chains fracture are never the ones featured in headlines. They are never the ones dominating emergency preparedness forums or trending in survival communities. They are not the products anybody is warning you about. Because by the time anybody thinks to warn you, the decision has already been executed in a corporate boardroom, buried in a quarterly review document, and signed off on by a buyer who will never once step foot in the aisle where that product used to live. Right now, as of early 2026, at least 12 specific grocery products are in active delistment processes across major national retail chains. These are not rumors. These are not speculations. These are the downstream consequences of margin calculations, import contract collapses, and shelf space reprogramming that has already happened. Invisible to shoppers until the moment the gap appears and something cheaper, shinier, and less nutritious takes its place. Some of these products cost under $1. Several of them are nutritional powerhouses that no amount of influencer marketing has ever successfully explained to mainstream consumers. And that invisibility, that chronic public ignorance of what these products actually are and what they actually do, is precisely why they are being cut. They move slowly. In retail, slow movement is a death sentence. By the time you finish reading this, you will understand not just what is disappearing, but why it matters at a level most people never get to. Because this is not a shopping list. This is a map of what the food supply is quietly subtracting from your options and what it is replacing those options with. Let's count them down. Hashtag 12. Evaporated milk. The shelf-stable dairy powerhouse being abandoned. Stop walking past this can. Seriously, stop. Because what is sitting quietly in that dented, underlit corner of the dairy aisle is about to disappear from regular stock. And when it does, you will realize far too late what you had access to all along. Multiple major national chains are dramatically slashing evaporated milk inventory in 2026. The shelf space is being handed over to oat milk, almond milk, and other plant-based alternatives that carry dramatically better margins and attract significantly more social media attention. Never mind that those alternatives cannot do what evaporated milk does. Never mind that their nutritional density is incomparable. Here is the distinction that almost nobody explains correctly. Evaporated milk and sweetened condensed milk are not the same product. They look almost identical on the shelf, same can dimensions, same general section, but condensed milk is loaded with sugar. It is a confection ingredient. Evaporated milk is unsweetened, with roughly 60% of its water removed through careful heat processing. It is a concentrated, protein-dense dairy product with a shelf life exceeding 2 years at room temperature. No refrigeration, no degradation, no crisis. When power fails, and power does fail, every refrigerated dairy item in your home becomes a biological hazard within hours. Evaporated milk does not participate in that problem. One can, equal parts water added back in, gives you full cream milk for cooking, coffee, oatmeal, and baking without touching a refrigerator. There is also a preparation technique that culinary professionals have quietly relied on for decades. Chill an unopened can in cold water for 30 minutes. Open it, whip vigorously, and it thickens into a cream substitute with genuine texture and body. Most people have lived their entire lives without knowing this exists. A single can costs under $2. Buy it before the store brands are gone. Because when they go permanently. Hashtag 11. Canned pumpkin. The nutritional giant being locked behind a seasonal window. The corporate logic here is almost insultingly clean. Pumpkin sells massively in autumn and nearly nothing the rest of the year. So several large chains are converting pure canned pumpkin from year-round inventory to a September through November seasonal product only. 3 months. Then the shelf resets with something else. Here is what that decision is silently deleting from your dietary access for 9 months of every year. 1 single cup of pure canned pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, which is an entirely different and vastly inferior product, contains 245% of the daily recommended intake of vitamin A through beta-carotene, one of the most potent antioxidant compounds available in whole food form. More beta-carotene per cup than carrots. More dietary fiber per cup than oatmeal. All of this sitting at roughly 83 calories. That profile outperforms most dedicated wellness products at a fraction of the price. What makes pumpkin uniquely dangerous to ignore is its culinary invisibility. It has almost no assertive flavor. Stirred into chili, it thickens and extends the pot with zero detectable taste impact. Mixed into pasta sauce, it adds fiber and vitamin density that not a single person at your table will identify. Blended into soup, it vanishes completely while quietly rebuilding your micronutrient status. A 15-ounce can costs around 1.29 right now. When September arrives and this product shifts to seasonal-only status, every home baker, every prep-minded household, and every parent of a picky eater will reach for it simultaneously. Shelves will clear within days. The window to buy it calmly and cheaply is open right now. Do not wait for October. Canned green chilies, the 89-cent morale tool being eliminated. This will sound too small to matter. That is exactly the cognitive trap that makes it so dangerous to overlook. Two large national chains are eliminating their store-brand green chili SKUs in 2026, redirecting that shelf space towards salsa and higher-margin condiment products. Once store brands disappear, the name brand alternatives that remain will cost 2 to 3 times as much for functionally the same product. But the dollar math is not even the urgent part. The urgent part is what military nutrition research and disaster psychology literature have documented repeatedly in scenarios involving extended dietary disruption. Physical resources deteriorate slowly, but morale collapses at a terrifying rate. The primary driver of that collapse is food fatigue, the psychological and neurological exhaustion that sets in when meals stop varying. After roughly 2 weeks of similar foods, voluntary appetite decreases, decision-making around eating becomes irrational, and anxiety elevates even in otherwise healthy adults. Green chilies intervene in that process through a documented neurochemical mechanism. Capsaicin, the compound responsible for dietary heat, triggers a measurable endorphin release through a pathway that operates entirely independently of any psychological expectation. A small amount of heat in a meal changes how your brain chemically responds to eating it. This is not folklore. This is documented neurological function. A 4-ounce can contains 45% of your daily vitamin C requirement and costs 89 cents. It transforms scrambled eggs, lifts a bowl of rice, deepens any soup or stew without requiring any additional preparation. 12 cans cost under $11 and last for years. The cheapest morale investment on this entire list and one of the most consequential. If you're just discovering this information now, please like, comment, and subscribe. This kind of content takes significant research to compile, and your support is what makes it possible to keep publishing it. The canned bean aisle looks fully stocked to almost every shopper who passes through it. But the buyers managing that space are not treating all beans equally, and chickpeas are losing. 3 large chains are actively consolidating their canned bean SKUs in 2026, and chickpeas are among the primary casualties. Black beans outsell them, kidney beans outsell them. In the ruthless arithmetic of shelf space velocity, slower turnover means less presence, and less presence means eventual elimination. Here is the nutritional argument that the retail economics are actively working to erase from your access. Chickpeas contain substantial quantities of resistant starch, a form of carbohydrate that bypasses digestion in the small intestine entirely and instead feeds beneficial bacterial colonies in the colon. The documented associations of resistant starch consumption include significantly improved satiety and measurably reduced post-meal blood glucose volatility. In a situation where your diet is composed primarily of shelf-stable foods, that glucose regulation capacity becomes critically practical. You stay fuller for longer. You avoid the energy crashes that heavily processed carbohydrates guarantee. No other commonly available canned bean delivers that nutritional profile at this price point. A 15-ounce can runs under 1.50 T today. Once store brands consolidate and organic lines fill the gap, you will pay $3.50 or $4 for the same product. The nutritional value will not change. The availability window will. Drain a can, toss with olive oil and salt, and roast at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. What emerges is crispy, satisfying, and genuinely substantial in a way that cold, undressed beans never are. Or blend a drained can with olive oil, garlic, and any available acid. You have hummus for under $1.50 or $1.50 or $1 or $1.50. Hashtag 8. Fat-free canned refried beans. The dietary restriction casualty nobody is tracking. There are 2 distinct products sharing the same shelf label, and the difference between them is being weaponized by corporate purchasing decisions without a single public announcement. Full-fat refried beans are made with lard or vegetable shortening. Rich flavor, high-fat macronutrient profile. Traditional product. Fat-free refried beans are cooked and mashed without added fat. A different nutritional structure, a more neutral flavor base, and a meaningfully different product, despite being stacked inches away from their full-fat counterparts. Fat-free refried beans store-brand SKUs are being discontinued by several regional chains, particularly across southwestern distribution networks. Full-fat versions outsell them. Premium organic lines generate superior margins. The buyer's decision is arithmetically obvious and nutritionally catastrophic for a specific and largely invisible portion of the population. A meaningful percentage of people managing cardiovascular conditions, elevated cholesterol panels, or medically supervised dietary protocols cannot use high-fat alternatives without genuine health consequences. In a normal supply environment, substitutions are everywhere. In an environment where your pantry becomes your primary food source, the absence of a low-fat complete protein is not an inconvenience. It is a dietary constraint with no workaround at any price. Beyond the medical dimension, fat-free refried beans represent the single fastest no-equipment complete meal preparation on this entire list. Open the can, add green chilies, spread on crackers, 7 grams of protein, and 6 grams of fiber in under 60 seconds. No heat required, no utensils beyond a spoon. Combined cost approximately 1.50s. A can costs 1.90s today. When store brands disappear, premium alternatives will run 2 cephals 50 to 3 cephals 50. #7 6-ounce tomato paste. The format being discontinued. This one is subtle enough that most people will not register it as a loss until they are standing in the aisle with a 28-ounce can they cannot possibly use before it deteriorates. Several national chains are phasing out the 6-ounce tomato paste format in favor of larger 12 and 28-ounce versions. The commercial reasoning is straightforward. A larger can costs nearly the same to produce, generates significantly more revenue per unit, and occupies identical shelf real estate. Clean decision from a margin perspective. Quietly disastrous from a household utility perspective. A 28-ounce can of tomato paste opened in a single or small family kitchen cannot realistically be consumed before it spoils. The 6-ounce format existed precisely because it matched actual household usage patterns. Its elimination is not a format preference. It is a waste generation event disguised as a product upgrade. The nutritional argument for tomato paste is one that most people have genuinely never encountered. The heat processing involved in producing paste increases the bioavailability of lycopene, the primary antioxidant compound in tomatoes, by 2 to 4 times compared to fresh tomato consumption. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste delivers more bioavailable lycopene than an entire fresh tomato, according to nutrition research published through Harvard studies. It transforms a pot of plain rice into a seasoned, antioxidant-dense meal. It gives body to white beans and depth to any soup with no equivalent substitute at the same cost. Practical solution to the waste problem. When you open a 6-ounce can and use part of it, freeze the remainder in an ice cube tray. Each cube equals approximately 1 tablespoon. Cover and store. They hold for 6 months and pull out individually. Zero waste, full flexibility. Buy several dozen small cans while this format still exists. Once it is gone, it will not come back. #6. Full-fat Thai and Vietnamese coconut milk. The import contract casualty. Before we continue, if you have found this information valuable, leave a comment below and let us know what item shocked you most. Like the video and subscribe so you never miss content like this. These distribution changes are accelerating, and the next wave of cuts is already in motion. The coconut milk sitting in the international aisle of most major grocery stores right now is not the same product that will be sitting there in 12 months. What will replace it will look nearly identical. The label will occupy the same spot. The can will be the same size. The contents will be fundamentally different. Authentic full-fat Thai and Vietnamese coconut milk typically carries between 14 and 17 grams of fat per serving. Many domestic alternatives moving into that shelf space carry roughly half that amount. The fat content is not a branding distinction. It is a compositional one with documented nutritional consequences. Import economics are driving this change. Tariff adjustments and collapsing supplier margins have made it commercially untenable for several large chains to maintain contracts with Southeast Asian producers. Domestic alternatives cost less to source, carry better margins, and are logistically simpler to stock. The buyer's case is airtight. The consumer's loss is invisible. Full-fat coconut milk is among the most concentrated dietary sources of medium-chain triglycerides available in a standard grocery store. Unlike most dietary fats, MCTs are processed directly by the liver for energy rather than routed through the usual fat storage pathway. Published nutrition research has associated regular MCT consumption with measurably improved cognitive function during periods of caloric restriction or metabolic stress. Your brain runs better on quality fat. That is documented biochemistry. Identifying the authentic product takes 3 seconds. Check the fat grams per serving. Below 12 grams, you have a diluted product. 14 to 17 grams, you have the real thing. At Asian grocery stores, genuine cans run under $2. At mainstream chains, around $2.50. Both are being phased out at major retailers right now. #5. Canned coconut cream. The shelf-stable fat reserve disappearing quietly. Coconut cream and coconut milk are not the same product. Coconut cream is thick, dense, and high in fat, a fundamentally different composition from even full-fat coconut milk, and light years removed from the stabilizer-laden carton versions sold in refrigerated sections. Distribution contacts have confirmed that several major chains are significantly reducing coconut cream SKU counts through 2026. It ships at higher cost per unit, turns over more slowly than adjacent products, and occupies space that buyers have reallocated. In the margin calculation, it loses. In the nutritional calculation, its removal is alarming. Here is why. Fat is not a dietary preference. It is a physiological requirement. The brain operates on fat. Cell membranes are constructed from fat. During any scenario involving disrupted regular grocery access, the fat category is historically the first to vanish from available supply. Butter goes first. Refrigerated dairy follows. Oils move with them. Coconut cream provides a dense, completely shelf-stable fat source with a multi-year room temperature lifespan. One can contains roughly 445 calories of predominantly high-quality fat. The lauric acid content is among the most bioavailable fat compounds available at any mainstream grocery store. There is no real equivalent product at this price point and shelf life combination. A can currently runs around $2.79. When these SKUs are cut, diluted domestic alternatives will take the space at a higher price and a lower nutritional yield. The window to stock actual coconut cream is closing in real time. Honeste Faux, canned mackerel, the most nutritionally efficient tin in the store. Walk to the bottom shelf of the canned fish aisle in any major grocery store right now. The tuna shelves above are perpetually disrupted, product moving, gaps appearing, restocking in progress. The mackerel tins are perfectly undisturbed, not because people have examined them in past, because most people have never once picked one up. That familiarity gap is now being exploited by retail buyers with a very different motivation. Several large chains have communicated significantly reduced mackerel orders to seafood suppliers for 2026. The velocity numbers do not justify the shelf space. From an operational standpoint, the cut is obvious. From a nutritional standpoint, it is one of the most consequential removals on this list. Here is the side-by-side comparison nobody presents. Canned mackerel contains more omega-3 fatty acids per serving than canned salmon, more protein per ounce than tuna. Costs approximately 1.50 cents per can, compared to $5 for canned salmon and $2.50 for name-brand tuna. A nutritionally superior product being eliminated for one reason only. It is not popular. Buy mackerel packed in olive oil, not brine, not water. The olive oil pack entirely transforms the flavor profile. Cleaner, richer, with none of the metallic quality that brine-packed versions produce, and that has turned generations of potential consumers off canned fish permanently. That single format distinction is the difference between a product you will reluctantly tolerate and one you will actually reach for. The dismissal of tofu in preparedness conversations is immediate, reflexive, and nutritionally costly. Set aside the cultural baggage for 60 seconds, because what is being removed from mainstream shelf access here is something with almost no functional replacement. Aseptic packaged tofu, sold in small, shelf-stable rectangular cartons under brands like Mori-Nu, uses ultra-high temperature processing within a sealed multi-layer package to achieve shelf lives exceeding 12 months at room temperature. This is not the refrigerated block from the produce section. This is an entirely different product, sitting unrefrigerated in the international or health food aisle. waiting for the small percentage of shoppers who know what they are looking at. If you have made it this far in this article, you are clearly someone who takes this seriously. Like this post, drop a comment and subscribe, because the next set of distribution changes we are tracking is even more significant than what we have covered here. And subscribers will get that information first. Complete proteins, foods containing all 9 essential amino acids in sufficient quantities, are genuinely rare in shelf-stable form. Most shelf-stable complete proteins are animal products. For households managing vegetarian diets, multiple food allergies, or specific religious dietary requirements, aseptic tofu represents one of a very small number of complete protein options that require no refrigeration and no cooking to consume. Mainstream chains are shifting aseptic tofu towards specialty sections with reduced SKU counts as part of broader 2026 shelf consolidation. One package, running around 1.99 cents, delivers 10 grams of complete protein with a 12-month ambient shelf life. Blend a carton of the silken variety directly into any canned soup. It disappears completely. No detectable texture, no flavor change. The soup becomes creamy. The protein content doubles. That nutritional math exists nowhere else at that price. #2. Canned sardines in olive oil. The tin that does everything. The reaction most people have to sardines is immediate, physical, and rooted in a sensory memory they never chose to revisit. I am not going to dismiss that reaction. I am going to ask you to hold it while we examine what sardines actually contain, because the list is extraordinary and the combination is unique. Sardines are one of a very small number of foods that simultaneously deliver vitamin D3, omega-3 fatty acids, and highly bioavailable calcium in a single serving. Not D2, D3, the form that human physiology absorbs significantly more efficiently than the plant-based supplement form. The calcium in sardines, which are canned with their soft bones fully incorporated and rendered completely undetectable in texture, is absorbed more effectively than calcium carbonate in most supplement tablets. The omega-3 content rivals or exceeds most fish oil capsules on pharmacy shelves. At under $2 per tin, combine 2 tins per week. Mackerel one day, sardines a few days later, and you have covered your complete weekly omega-3 requirement, your daily vitamin D, meaningful calcium intake, and over 44 grams of complete protein. Total cost under $4. That density of nutritional coverage does not exist anywhere else in a grocery store at any price point. A combination of European supplier contract pressures and import logistics complications is driving significant sardine order reductions at several major chains through 2026. Buy olive oil packed only. The olive oil format changes the eating experience completely. Cleaner, richer, none of the metallic brine quality that has driven the unfair reputation of this product for decades. #1. Canned jackfruit in brine. The import casualty almost nobody is watching. One critical distinction before anything else: there are 2 completely different canned jackfruit products sharing shelf space. And buying the wrong one is a complete waste of money. Jackfruit in syrup is a sweet, sugar-laden dessert product. That is not what this is about. Do not buy that. Jackfruit in brine is unripe jackfruit packed in salted water. No added sugar, minimal calories, and a dense fibrous texture that, when separated with a fork, is physically indistinguishable from shredded meat in virtually any cooking application. Read that again. The only fruit in a standard grocery store that behaves like a shredded protein when prepared. No special processing beyond what the canning itself provides. No additives, no refrigeration. Shelf life of 12 to 18 months. For households managing food budgets, vegetarian diets, or anyone attempting to extend meat-centered meals further, this product has no direct equivalent anywhere on these shelves, and it is disappearing. Southeast Asian import disruptions and collapsing logistics economics have led multiple mainstream chains to significantly reduce canned jackfruit inventory. Some moved it to clearance sections as early as late 2024. Others have been reducing SKU counts throughout early 2026. It sits at the intersection of import cost pressure and mainstream unfamiliarity, moving slowly because most shoppers have never cooked with it, and most content has never explained it clearly enough to change that. Here is the preparation that makes this product immediately accessible with 0 prior experience and no special equipment. Drain and rinse the can, then pull the jackfruit apart with a fork. It shreds in approximately 30 seconds into something that closely resembles pulled chicken or pulled pork. Add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste from the 6-ounce format we discussed earlier. Add a spoonful of green chilies. Mix. No cooking required. Under 3 minutes total. That combination across all 3 cans costs approximately $4 and produces a texturally satisfying, filling meal that does not eat like standard shelf-stable emergency food. Current pricing at most mainstream stores is under $3 per can. Availability at major chains is already actively declining. The window is open. It will not stay open. The additional items. What else is quietly leaving? Beyond the core 12, several additional products are in early-stage delistment processes that are worth tracking closely. Canned white beans. Cannellini. Often confused with generic white beans, but nutritionally distinct, cannellini carry a higher iron content per serving than most canned legumes, and a creamier texture that makes them uniquely versatile as a thickening agent in soups and stews. Regional chains across the Northeast are reducing SKU counts in favor of Great Northern beans, which carry marginally better margin profiles. If you cook Italian-inspired dishes or manage iron deficiency concerns, this substitution is not cosmetic. Canned artichoke hearts. This product deserves its own entry because it is performing a nutritional function that almost no preparedness content has ever captured. Artichoke hearts are among the richest prebiotic fiber sources available in canned form. Prebiotic fiber is what feeds the beneficial bacteria that regulate immune response, mood stabilization through the gut-brain axis, and inflammation management. The prebiotic content in 1 serving of canned artichoke hearts exceeds most dedicated probiotic supplements. Several West Coast chains are reducing artichoke heart inventory in 2026 as import costs from Spanish and Peruvian suppliers continue to rise. Canned roasted red peppers. These are being removed from several major chains' standard inventory and shifted to seasonal or specialty sections. What most people do not realize: roasted red peppers contain substantially more vitamin C than raw peppers. The roasting process concentrates it. 1 jar delivers over 200% of your daily vitamin C requirement, along with a flavor complexity that can transform any shelf-stable meal into something that does not taste like emergency food. This is the morale category, and roasted red peppers are one of its most powerful tools. Canned lentils. Dried lentils are not affected. They remain widely stocked. But pre-cooked canned lentils are being quietly consolidated out of major chains' standard inventory. The significance: canned lentils require 0 preparation time and no cooking equipment. Dried lentils require fuel, water, and time. In any scenario where those resources are constrained, pre-cooked canned lentils are a categorically different product from their dried counterparts. Several Midwest distribution networks have already reduced orders significantly through 2026. Why this is happening, and why nobody is telling you. Every product on a grocery shelf has a gross margin percentage assigned to it. Products generating above 20% gross margin are protected assets. Between 12 and 20%, they are stable but vulnerable to pricing volatility. Below 12%, they are flagged for quarterly review. Below 8%, they face near-certain discontinuation within 18 months unless they anchor an entire aisle category in a way that justifies the carrying cost. Every single item on this list lives in that 8 to 12% danger zone. Not because the product is inferior, not because the nutritional value is questionable, because something adjacent on the shelf moves faster and costs the retailer less to stock. That is the only calculation that matters to the buyer making the decision. Here is how you identify the next wave of at-risk products before this content covers them. Look for items on the bottom row of any grocery aisle, carrying store brand or generic labels, never receiving a promotional tag, always fully stocked, but never featured in weekly circulars or end cap displays. Those products are not being promoted because the chain has already internally flagged them for consolidation review. Full stock with 0 promotion is the retail equivalent of a terminal diagnosis. Most emergency preparedness content focuses almost exclusively on macronutrients, calories and protein, survival math. That frame is not wrong, but it consistently misses what documented emergency scenarios actually reveal. In real-world extended dietary disruption events, physical function does not degrade from protein deficit first. The first systems to collapse are micronutrient-dependent, immune function, mood regulation, cognitive clarity, tissue repair. These systems run on vitamin C, vitamin A, prebiotic fiber, iron, and dietary fat quality. These are the categories this list covers. And these are the categories being stripped from standard distribution, while most people are still debating which brand of black beans